Hey guys, my name is Ryan.
And my name is Miska.
And welcome to Overwatch Central, and welcome to What's the Meta. This is a series we haven't actually done in a while. I think the last episode was in August, so a lot has changed since then. For those that don't know, or for those that need a recap, What's the Meta is generally a series where we look at the hero pick rates in competitive, usually after a set of changes go through, to see what heroes have suffered from the changes, have gone down in pick rate, but also what heroes are doing well. This is done with the help of Omnic Meta, who are a website that do a lot of interesting stats reports. There was a very interesting one on Moira, which you can all check out in the description below. And I've also started up a Patreon as well for those feeling generous to donate. But as I was saying, last episode was in August and a lot has changed. We've had the Mercy rework. We've also had Moira added into the game. So let's have a look at how this changes by first of all looking at the supports.
So let's take a look at the supports, beginning with Ana, of course. Overall, she's had an 18% increase in usage, which is huge. Of course, in Masters and GM, she's gonna be even more popular, and that's where we've really seen the rise again. This is often the case with Ana, that we see extremes of everything going on in the other tiers in the Master and GM tier. And this is definitely as a reaction to the buff, but also just players that have been wanting to play the hero but have played like Mercy instead and that sort of stuff. Lucio has seen very little change actually, and quite surprisingly as well. He's in a pretty perfect position though. He's picked more than Sunyata, Moira and Sinatra as well, and has only seen a slight decrease in bronze, interestingly enough, most likely because people are trying out Moira. And now Mercy, of course, with a huge drop of minus 30% on average. This loss is the higher that you climb with the ranks as well, and is the highest in GM with minus 44%, which is kind of ridiculous and one of the biggest drops we've seen in a while. There's a definite correlation between the Mercy fall and Ana rise as well. We mentioned it earlier, but it's important to note to those that used to play Mercy, that want to move on to another hero, or just know how to pair their supports when playing competitive play. And finally, Moira with a 23% average rise. 26% is the highest rise and it's in silver, but it's very similar across all the tiers. She had a very healthy launch and is already in there with the supports for sure. She does have her role in competitive and sort of has her niche among the supports, but definitely not OP overall, even though she is quite versatile. And it's looking like her pick rate may just rise slowly over time if it continues like this. And finally, Sinatra, who is, well, Sinatra in her own sort of world, very different from the other supports in the way that she doesn't have any healing capability, of course, and because of that, very different stats wise too. She's kind of unchanged, but there's really not much to say about her. Sunyata has had a small fall of 5.95% on average. This is due to the addition of Moira, some people still playing Mercy, but others moving on from Mercy to Ana as well, and maybe some players playing more Ana nowadays too. There's just a lot of factors there. Sunyata is used the most in the Master tier though, interestingly enough, and now also have tough competition coming from Moira and also Ana now that Sen lost out on some of that hero usage. We'll see exactly how the support tier develops, but I feel like it's in a very good spot right now, even though Mercy is still doing very well. But don't let the Mercy drop fool you, because she's still being played a lot.
Let's go over the tanks now, and we start with Deva, who has actually gone up on average about 3%. What is interesting though is that GM, she's almost a 10% rise, which is kind of crazy considering she's a hero that hasn't really received any changes herself. She is fairly strong against Moira, and she can give chase to a Mercy that's trying to fly around. But other than that, I don't really see any reason why we may see more Deva. So that aspect of her kit is quite interesting. And it's another case of the higher you climb, the more she is picked. She's also the most popular tank to be played in all tiers apart from Diamond, which Reinhardt takes, interestingly enough. Orisa feels like she's everywhere right now, but she's only gone up not even 1% on average. The highest is 1.56 in gold, and no doubt one of the biggest reasons is just the rise of like the Torbjorn synergy that she has going on, and a lot of maps that favor as well. But I think overall players are now starting to pick her up and enjoy her a lot more, myself included, adding that. So yeah, Orisa's not gone up much, but she's still in a pretty good spot currently, certainly compared to the past. Reinhardt has pretty much not gone anywhere, has dropped 0.03%, but he's still in a pretty balanced spot. Can often feel that you can't really do much, you have to rely on your team a lot, but that's just the main tank problem currently. Another hero that hasn't really gone anywhere is Hog. He has sort of rose a little bit in Masters at 2.43%, but has dropped in GM 2.28. Something has to make up for the fact that Deva has increased in about 10% pick rate. But there is another hero that has dropped quite significantly in the higher tiers. That hero isn't Winston. Winston has actually gone up 4% in GM, but has actually fallen by the same amount in Masters. Other than the top tier, he hasn't really gone anywhere. anyway, he's dropped a little bit, not by much. But the hero that has actually suffered quite a lot in this role is Zarya. The highest drop rate that we see from Zarya is 5.22%, and that is in GM, but on average it's about 2.87. It's hard to say why. Zarya can benefit from the likes of Junkrat spam and a lot of chucks and stuff, but ultimately I just think that Deva Winston or Roadhog Reinhardt, those combinations are winning out a little bit more. But when it comes to her actual pick rate, as you've seen on screen compared to the other tanks, it's fairly balanced. Teresa's rising a little bit, Reinhardt's in a steady spot, but Roadhog, Winston, Zarya are pretty much in the same spot, with Deva, as I said before, being the more popular pick across all of the tanks on the tiers.
And offense heroes, and there's actually very little change in percentage here, so we will look at more rank trends instead and that sort of stuff, rather than exact numbers on every single hero. Doomfist is still in this sort of trash tier, honestly. He's got a lower pick rate than heroes like Mei and Sombra, although this is for different reasons, I'd say. I do hope Doomfist makes some sort of a comeback though. Genji is still a popular choice at GM level, although the rise on the graph is more a natural rise, rather than Genji being really good right now for whatever reason. McCree becomes very popular at Platinum, as you can see, but there's no big rise above that. Not much change around McCree either, but he's sort of a vanilla DPS still. Pharah and Reaper both dive in popularity, but as he climbed, Pharah becomes the more popular choice out of the two. Neither of their highest pick rate in any tier reached the peaks of McCree and Genji though. Solar has a consistent pick rate across the tiers with a peak at GM, as you can see, but this is Solar 76. It's as vanilla as you can get with DPS. Has been a solid pick for a long time, and it's looking like he'll continue to be exactly that. Sombra is consistently just quiet, there's no real effect or change here at all. She's very niche, I'm sure you guys have run into a good Sombra hero there, but yeah, like I said, no real effect. Tracer just climbs overall here, as you can see throughout the rank trends. Not a massive change since the last patch at all, and also just to note, in case you didn't know already, her popularity absolutely explodes at GM level.
Now let's go over the defense heroes. Usually when we go over these heroes, we tend to just gloss over them and say that they're all bad currently, honestly. But with the effect that heroes like Junkrat and Torbjorn have at the moment, it's really quite interesting to look at the results here. Before we get started, I do want to highlight the sort of difference in pick rate between the defense heroes and the offense heroes that we've gone over earlier. And as you see, Junkrat is a much more popular pick than some of the likes of Bastion, Hanzo, and Mei. And it's worth having that in context when we go over how these heroes drop in comparison. Bastion, Hanzo, Mei and Torbjorn haven't really gone anywhere in pick rate, so they stay where they were before, but still find a niche use now and again, especially Torbjorn. But the more interesting result in this tier is probably Junkrat's drop. He's actually dropped 7.72% in bronze, but as you were seeing on screen just then, it's still quite a lot. It's higher than a lot of other heroes. It's the highest pick rate in any other tier for the defense heroes, and even for offensive heroes as well. He's lost a bit of GM as well with 2.261% drop, and it's fairly similar across all the other tiers as well. But one of the more interesting things that I do want to highlight in this tier before we finish is Widowmaker having an increase in 2.68% on average, the highest being in bronze. It's a net increase across all of the tiers, but as you see, and she's still quite low in comparison to Junkrat's overall pick rate, and any other real DPS's pick rate as well, unless you start getting to the likes of GM, where people can actually hit shots. Before we finish, let's have a look at the tier comparison across all of the heroes so you have a good idea of what heroes are popular right now and what heroes may need a little bit of help. And that's it for this time. Thank you very much for watching. Do let us know what you think of all of the things that we've gone over today. We've seen a Widowmaker rise, we've seen a Sunyata drop, but mostly a fairly comfortable introduction to Moira, with Mercy still being a very strong pick. Let us know what you think below, like and subscribe if you haven't already, and until next time, take care, and we'll see you then.